What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Patreon. It is 1:33 p.m. here on the East Coast in the USA. It is February 4th of 2019. So, some of you guys were talking about an audio issue. I had a filter on this mic that would cut the noise when there was no noise happening. So I just took that off. We'll see if that solves the issue for you guys. It wasn't really an issue. It was just a style that I chose, but it doesn't really matter anyway. Anyway, Bitcoin, not doing too much right now. We are, just trading sideways here. We had these higher lows going for us, and we actually broke below them. Just came back to retest that, right? We're going to see if this turns into some resistance. Maybe we pull back again, right? We'll see if we get through. Volume is pretty damn low, though. It is Monday, so I would expect that, some move would start to take place this week. I would expect. I mean, we'll see, right? Who knows? But anyway, so, I just want to bring up the point that, yes, it is bearish, guys, obviously, right? I've been talking about how it looks really bearish, which it absolutely is. The thing, though, is that this is crypto, right? This is the crypto market. Things aren't always rational. Things don't always make sense. Just like how when we came to test the 3,200 level, there wasn't all that much volume, but we just shot right up, right? Same thing could happen here, right? We came down here, not much volume. Who knows, right? The market makers, the people who are driving this market right now, they can just decide to shoot this thing up, right? The people with the very, very deep pockets, guys, the people who have a lot of money and a lot of control and a lot of the supply of this market can, if a couple exchanges want to coordinate a move, it can happen, guys. It can happen, right? So we're kind of at the mercy of the whales right now to get this thing moving. Honestly, that's about it. That's really what it comes down to at this point. Whichever direction they want it to send it, right? They'll initiate a direction, and then the market will take over from there. That's usually how things work in this market. Whales initiate a certain momentum, a certain direction, and then the market takes over, right? That's kind of how the crypto market works. It is very, very momentum-based, guys. The crypto market is extremely momentum-based, right? Very momentum-based. So that is usually how things play out in this market. But we're sitting right here, not all that much volume here. I was also looking, we have these two downsloping resistance points. I was also looking at this area, thinking okay, what's the highest we could go without really breaking out? And I was looking at it, and it looks something like this, right? Right? This kind of, to me, it makes sense. Resistance, 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 right? I would say if, the price could probably pull up to about 3,800, I would say, around 3,800. And we would still be on a descending triangle formation if we bounced up to about 3,800. If we break above that, things start changing, right? The resistance point becomes a little bit more horizontal, and it's less of a descending triangle. But about 3,800 would be our top, would be our highest point to continue this pattern, I think. Most likely, right? Something like this. Terrible drawing, but you guys know what I mean. About 3,800 being the top, though. Although, guys, it still looks really weak, right? There's no volume here. A quick shift to the downside would not surprise me, but we'll see. Things are just going completely sideways right now for Bitcoin. Traditional markets launching up. What's hilarious, guys? I remember... today I'm doing a screen cap update. Not that it really matters. I'm not on camera. But what's hilarious, guys? Remember that article I was reading with that analyst from Morgan Stanley who was like, yeah, the market's too damaged. It can't just go straight up. And I was like, yeah, I kind of agree with this guy. This is why you can't trust these people. That's exactly what the market did. It went straight up. Straight up. Crazy, right? Crazy. We'll see, though. I would expect... I know I keep saying this, but I would expect a reversal at some point, but who the hell knows at this point, right? Who the hell knows? We could be seeing a formation kind of like this, I think, honestly, right? You have, if we zoom in on that, if we zoom in on this area right here, see this, guys? You can have a nice bounce back. Doesn't mean that the bear market can't initiate, right? I would say, there's still a chance of a bear market here, guys, right? You can see, these types of patterns play out a lot in this market. You have these super nice bounce backs, but eventually you pull back anyway, right? The volume, the volatility is increasing, which is one indicator that you might see a pullback. That's how the traditional markets work a lot of the times. But right now, it's a straight shot to the upside, but we'll see how this plays out. Couple pieces of news. Kraken is expanding, just announced the acquisition of London-based crypto facilities, a deal worth over 100 million. Interesting. Kraken is expanding into Europe, I guess. Yeah, this is interesting. NVIDIA underestimated crypto dependence, analyst says, right? NVIDIA underestimated their dependence on cryptocurrencies, and I would have to totally agree, because man, when I was working for the that mining group, they were buying like GPUs like man, like close to $10,000 worth every week, like as Bitcoin was gaining, and it was fucking crazy. Sorry for my language. It was crazy how much they were buying it. And yeah, it makes sense, right? When was this pullback in NVIDIA stock? November, October. Yeah, November, guys. November was a horrible month for NVIDIA. October, November. Which is hilarious. You know, bit of a correlation there. Makes sense, right? NVIDIA benefited so much. I saw with my own eyes firsthand how much NVIDIA and AMD and stuff like benefited off of, mostly NVIDIA, how much NVIDIA benefited off of crypto. And it makes sense. It makes sense. Honestly, it makes total sense to see the correlation there. Also, Amazon will have to create its own crypto in the future, Binance uses. And guys, this is what I've been talking about a lot. Corporations are going to gain a lot of power by creating their own cryptocurrencies and their own currencies. Mostly are going to be crypto blockchain based, but corporations are going to gain a lot of power by creating cryptocurrencies that they issue. And this is what I've been talking about, guys. The future is going to be very, very dominated by corporations. And corporations, you know, it's going to be a lot of automation, peer-to-peer, machine-to-machine type of economy. And, you know, corporations are going to be forced to create their own cryptos. And the government really won't have too much say in that. It's just going to happen, honestly. Yeah, overall market cap coming closer to 110 billion again. Yeah, not too much going on there, right? Market's pretty flat right now. Somebody was talking about Tether. Here, I'll answer some questions. Somebody was talking about Tether in the comments section. Actually, I'll just go to the top here. Somebody was saying, I'm pretty sure you answered this numerous times. Thoughts on Ethereum right now? Worth owning a few coins while dumping into Bitcoin? I mean, guys, I have answered this a lot. You know, Ethereum is an altcoin, guys. I don't think it's worth owning right now. Not right now. Unless you are a person who believes Bitcoin is at the bottom. If you are a person who is like very certain that Bitcoin's at the bottom right now, then, you know, maybe obtaining some of your altcoins of choice would be a good idea for you. But I am not convinced that Bitcoin is at the bottom right now. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I think there's room to move down. You know, a lot of people are very convinced by the 200 MA on the weekly. Right here, this purple line right here. A lot of people are very convinced by this because the last bear market ended on that 200 MA. But we'll see, guys. We will see, right? Somebody else is saying, fix the audio. Someone was saying the audio is fine. Yeah, there's mixed feedback about the audio there. Someone was saying, hey, Kevin, Bitcoin, unlike gold, does not seem to be doing an inverse correlation to the stock market. With upcoming recession fears, Bitcoin price seems to be taking a hit as well. My query is that if there is a recession in, say, 6 months or so, won't it further push the price of Bitcoin near the 1K levels? Some YouTubers like Crypto Crew thinks that like to compare it with the 2014 trends, and there was no sign of recession back then. What are your views on this? Yeah, guys. I mean, the thing, guys. The one really big factor about Bitcoin that you have to remember is that it is very, very centralized in ownership. Extremely centralized in ownership. So there's people out there that are pulling strings on Bitcoin, right? And those people that own, you know, 90+% of the Bitcoin supply, they can kind of kind of determine where this thing will bottom out. In a sense, they kind of have that power. There are a lot of forces fighting against it, but you know, it's not like everybody, you know, guys, like, and again, 90% of Bitcoin is owned by a very, very small group of people. So, you know, it's really up to them if they want to dump their Bitcoin to, you know, unforeseen levels below $1,000. That's really up to them. If they just want to give up on the market and just dump their Bitcoin, that's up to them. I don't think that's going to happen, though, guys. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, there's a lot of money to be made in Bitcoin. There's tons of money to be made in Bitcoin, and these people are not just going to give that up and get scared. Like, I don't think so. I mean, that's not really a good response to your question. It's not like a great response, but that's kind of how I see it, honestly. You know, 90% of Bitcoin is owned by a small group of people. Those people have a lot of control, and I highly doubt that just because the traditional markets are falling, you know, they're just gonna like dump their supply. Like, I highly doubt that. I think they'll probably try to stabilize the price, even if we are getting a nice pullback over time here. And we'll see. You know, we will see, guys. Because, you know, we can't, you know, I guess this is one way to answer it. Bitcoin has only been around since this time period, right? And it has only experienced this, right? That's kind of what you're saying. So we can't really just say that, oh, if traditional markets fall, then Bitcoin's going to like completely tank. Right? We can't just go with, like, it's not black and white. It's not like, oh, the traditional markets are going up, Bitcoin's going to moon. Traditional markets going down, Bitcoin's going to fail. Like, that's not how we should look at this. I'm not saying that's how you're looking at it, because it's uncharted territories. We're not sure. We're really not sure how Bitcoin's going to react in a true traditional market bear market. We don't know yet. It could actually end up working out very well. We have to just see what happens here. Right? This is it's a risky time to be getting involved in Bitcoin, that's for sure. But, you know, it's, you know, who knows, guys? Who knows? Anything is possible. Maybe people around the world might see a benefit to being in Bitcoin, you know, when traditional markets are failing. You know, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. It's very, very uncharted territories right now. Somebody was saying, something I noticed, though, is that Tether has fallen back to 7th position on CoinMarketCap. That is unusual. Tether has trended up the market cap as Bitcoin trends down. So either people have bought back. Well, the thing about Tether is that they can print and burn Tether at will. There's nobody controlling Tether. They can if Tether wanted to be #1, they could. But that would be very shady. If Tether wanted to just, you know, oh, let's just create, you know, 50 billion USD, or, you know, 60 billion, they'll just be up here, right? So I don't like the fact that Tether exists, honestly. I think it's kind of shady. So that's, you know, that's that reason. They can just burn it, drop down, print it, pump up the market cap. You know, there's not much more to it, honestly. Let me just read the rest of this. So the question is, do you think this might be relevant or overthinking scenario? I think you're overthinking it a little bit, because these people can do really whatever they want. You know, they can, it's funny money. It's monopoly money. This shouldn't even be here, in my opinion. Shouldn't even be here. You know, this issue of Tether is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's comparable to Mt. Gox in a way. You know, and we are getting a pullback in a similar fashion as Mt. Gox, right? A lot of people were saying, I remember, you know how I was predicting like 2,500 most of this year. I know this video is getting a little long. A lot of people were like, oh, 6K is the bottom because, you know, back then we had the Mt. Gox problem. That's why we pulled back so much. And I was like, yeah, but what about the Tether problem? And people were like, oh, you're just fudding. And it's like, nah, Tether was pretty bad. I think the market got pumped a little too much because of Tether. A little too much. We don't need this thing anymore. But anyway, that's going to be about it for today, guys. You know, Bitcoin attempting to have a bounce off of this area. Not much volume coming in. You know, the beginning of the video, I talked about this a little more. Again, if we do get a nice bounce, I would say, you know, there is actually room to continue the descending triangle pattern at about 3,800, right? We still have, I don't think this is going to happen, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised of anything like this. I wouldn't be surprised of anything like this. But we do have a, you know, a nice cluster of resistance right above here, guys. Right? Heavy resistance in this area. You know, heavy resistance, guys, all around us, all above us, heavy resistance. And in my opinion, not much support below us, guys. Right? Look at this area right here. Look at the volume, guys. Look at the volume right here. Look at this. And we're here. We can break down pretty easily too, guys. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We're in a neutral spot. Whales can knock this thing around. We will see how this plays out. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.